we've got the tree instead of the blob.
Let's see how it's going to work out for Meteor. He's up against Kanavi, who's going to be playing on that Jarvan 4. But I'm more interested in that mid lane as well. Zoe versus LeBlanc. We've got Fofo on the Zoe, Yagao on his signature LeBlanc as we head onto the Rift. It's JDG on a win streak, 4-1 right now, up against the struggling BLG.
BLG have struggled for so long. 3 losses is their streak so far. ADD comes back, and again we're seeing comfort for this guy. The gangplank is directly in his top plate. So this is BLG saying, look, ADD, show us the way, show us what we saw in summer 2019 and bring us back to our winning ways.
Very standard level 1 though. Throughout the last series, we saw shenanigans every single game. We saw top grouping up and looking for deep vision and the same coming out from their opponents in Vici Gaming. This time around, just spreading out across the map, standard lane setup.
Not standard junglers though. And that's why we're seeing Meteor on this Maokai. Already saplings are being tossed down. Essentially this gives you a super fast clear on your blue because you get both them running in. Although JDG looking to try and contest with a late invade.
Do we call them saplings on Meteor when he's running the Meowkai skin? I think they're called catlings at this point, but Loken and Kanavi going to be here to ruin Meteor's day. Smite available. This is going to be who can pull the trigger a little bit better than the other. Shinmo going to walk on forwards. Lumao's here as well.
Look where Loken is. He's already got the lane, so looking to put the advantages onto the Varus.
But he might have sacrificed his jungle and his support because Fofo's here as well. Lumao flashes to safety, gets the heal as well. Kanavi trying to walk away, but he's rooted. Fofo incredibly low. They got the blue buff, but at what cost?
Well, Kanavi has to back now. Can't go for the solo clear. Well, can't clear out one camp. We'll have to back after that. So, when all said and done, Meteor gets the camp regardless. You end up with a slight advantage for Loken on the levels, but summoner spells burned to try and keep JDG alive.
So far, so good for Meteor on this Maokai. The attempted aggression from JDG not working out for them. And we already mentioned when JDG get first blood, they have an 80% win record. So important for BLG not to lose that fight.
It was JDG trying to punish Maokai. Because we said already, you start saplings. Maokai's not a champion unless he's got a CC. So with the sapling start and already 2 of them running into this blue buff, it meant they didn't have anything else for that invade.
Level 2 spike here for Lumao. Shinmo taking a good chunk of damage. It's not going to be enough to finish the job, but certainly going to be a good amount of pressure down in that bottom lane.
I'm laughing at Meteor's clear speed. Kanavi cleared his red, backed, got back. Oh, well, actually hasn't backed, but despite the slowdown, is still clearing as fast as this Maokai is. Will manage to pick up the Scuttle Trap as well. And now is in perfectly fine shape. Hasn't actually been set too far behind because the Maokai can't clear.
Yeah, and he's going to be spotted out by the Scryer's Bloom as well. These saplings will do a good amount to the camps, but it takes a little bit of time. He needs some levels before he can really get through these camps efficiently. I'm really curious how he's going to build as well, because there's an argument that you could go for the Runic Echoes just to be able to do a little bit of extra clear, a little bit of extra damage on the camps, but realistically, is that your priority?
Now, it's 100% going to be the Cinder Hulk. You want to make sure that you're getting those extra procs. Thanks to the Cinder Hulk's new passive with the CC enabled, and as well, you need to be a frontline for this team. You can't have ADD walking up to try and bear that brunt, either Shinmo, because it needs to proc the Aftershock to be tanky. So a lot of this falls to Meteor to be in control of the CC train for BLG.
Now we've entered a relatively slow start to this game, which typically is what we want to see from BLG. When we saw them looking strong towards the first couple of series they played, it was a slow, controlled playstyle.
Usually, I would agree with you. But OMG showed that BLG don't always win in the late game anymore. They were able to beat them at their own game. JDG here as well are going to be looking to have Kanavi full health, back out on the map, now making plays. Meteor's clear speed is too slow to try and contest, and they've given up a lot of what they want to do on the map. So yes, this early, slow gameplay kind of helps out BLG, But realistically, it's only because Kanavi was shut down in that level 1 play. Should, in theory, be able to make a new set of rules for this Rift.
Yeah, I mean, recently, BLG, they felt a little bit like my new diet, you know? Monday through Thursday, it's going pretty well. You're managing to eat nicely. You're chopping up your veggies and all of that good stuff. And then Friday night comes around. Your mates call you on the phone. They're like, let's get some beers in. It's St. Patrick's Day yesterday. Let's go for it. You get a bunch of beers, you get a bunch of McDonald's, you have some pizza, and it all goes wrong. That's what the late game for BLG feels like. The early game, the mid game, the Monday through Thursday look great. Once it gets to Friday night, the late game, it all goes wrong.
We've caught them out in 3v2s not eating their salad. We've caught them out where they should be going for these big objectives around the barn, but instead they're being caught out in side lanes eating that extra chocolate muffin. This overall is BLG falling down where we thought them strongest, and now JDG are stepping up to see what they can do, and so far it's working out well. Look at the CS numbers across the board without jungle intervention. Lumao and Loken winning out on this bottom side. Yagao winning in this mid lane. JDG are starting to punch, and how hard are BLG going to take it?
So far, pretty hard in that bottom lane, especially. 20 CS lead in favor of Loken. Obviously, there is a big wave crashing right now, but that means the rest of this squad from JDG is moving on down. Spotted the sapling, though. It's going to deter the play. They know that Meteor is around.
I don't know what Meteor does. Like, he's sitting here, yeah, all well and good. We'll defer the dive on BLG, but I'd be very surprised if they want to go for one right now. You can see Yagao has been pushed in the mid lane, so not able to get on the roam for a 4-man dive. And 3v2 with the tower in tow at this stage is not going to go in favor of JDG.
Well, ADD on this gangplank. It's something that scales exceptionally well into the later stages of the game. So once again, BLG looking towards a long one. Lumao is going to find a hook onto Meteor, and he's got a lantern to pull in his jungler. Meteor gets the twisted advance onto Kanavi, forced the flash onto this Jarvan. Loken going to be here as he's trying to get the DPS down onto Shinmo. Fofo wants to play himself. He's going to be locked up by the ethereal chains, though. Forced to use his cleanse pretty early in this fight. Kanavi exhausted and taken low. Another chain from Yagao. The fight diffuses. But once again, it's all about this blue buff. They do not want Maokai to have mana.
Kanavi and Meteor would have loved to have had ultimates available for that fight. All these close quarters where you could have locked people down could have been worked wonders. But neither of them had that available. It was the ultimates burnt by Loken onto Shinmo, who was able to escape thanks to that dredge line that missed. So both teams back away, and blue buff will eventually go in favor of BLG.
ADD actually struggling a little bit in these trades in this lane. We'll be able to... Oh, nice reactions from 705 to get the shield there.
So this lane will go in favor of 705 to begin with. But as the items start to come in, that Triforce, even if you want to go with the Essence Reaver and go full crit for the Gangplank, ADD will begin to win, especially because he's got the remove Scurvy. The Death Realm can't be used on the Gangplank because he pops the oranges, gets straight back into the land of the living, and then tries to turn around and send 705 back to the green screen.
Certainly a favorable matchup for ADD. But again, once we get to the very late stages of the game, Gangplank, one of these champions that scales superbly. You will be able to do massive damage. And also, one of the great advantages of that Gangplank is even when your teleport is on cooldown, like right now, 75 with the TP advantage, you can still influence those fights with the Cannon Barrage.
We saw that in that last fight where the Cannon Barrage was pretty crucial on shutting down Kanavi. Again, it's going to be up maybe in time for the likes of this Rift Herald. I'm looking at Lumao backing away now, trying to see if he can get up towards the Rift Herald, but it spawned just over a minute and a half ago. But with Kanavi hovering down towards this bot side, looks like neither are too confident to go for that play.
You see Meteor now has his Barmy Cinder. That'll mean his clear is a little bit quicker, a little bit more efficient on that Maokai. We do see, as we head towards the 10-minute mark, the Rift Herald going to be spawning very shortly.
It is up, and Meteor and Jinmo, what we just talked about, are moving towards it. ADD and Meteor are trying to see if they can get control of this top lane jungle. But still not entirely sure if they want to take this fight. JDG.
Oh, here we go. The hook will start things off, but it's answered immediately. And Shinmo not actually level 6 just yet. That's a trouble bubble and a half, but Shinmo falls regardless. Kanavi jumps on forward and he's found Meteor. He'll get some roots, but it's not going to do very much for him as he's taken into the Death Realm and aptly named as 705 finds what?
JDG find the fight, and as you rightly pointed out, Munchables, no ultimate for Shinmo. Thanks to the play and the pressure that Loken had been able to put on, Shinmo was forced to back before he could pick up that last wave. Meant he didn't hit the level 6 like Lumeo, and those key ultimates for the supports are able to turn that around.
I'm going to go full Robo Colonel on you right here because JDG, when they get First Blood, have an 80% win rate so far. So if the Colonel was here, he'd put his thumbs up and he'd give him an 80% win chance right now.
We can see this play here. They tried to go onto Lumeo, but the Aftershock is makes him so tanky. Meteor's the only one who can follow up here as well, which, as we said, Maokai has 0 damage at this point in the game. And ADD not winning out in the top lane as of yet, allows 705 to rotate first. The 4v3 ends up all JDG.
I think Cannon Barrage was actually still on cooldown from the previous engages. Oh, such a long cooldown in the early stages of the game. So despite me mentioning you can influence the fights, not if you're also on cooldown.
Now it is up though, but there's nobody here from BLG. So Rift Herald goes over to JDG. This first dragon will go across to JDG, and the snowball we talked about is starting to come to fruition, Munch.
Punch hard and punch fast. They've got themselves an advantage, and it looks like they want to keep things rolling. They want to turn this into more. The Herald going to be in the hands of Kanavi. The question will be where he wants to force the issue.
705 and Loken are the two they should head towards. Loken, because he's going to be the main damage dealer. Yes, Yugao is on LeBlanc, but you need consistent damage to get through the likes of Meteor. Otherwise, go 705. Have this Mordekaiser come in, deal with whoever is a pain in these team fights on the side of BLG, and beat them in that 1v1 scenario in the Death Realm.
Well, things slow down a little bit here as we have a moment, but it's going to be JDG that lead the charge right now. 2 dragons up in their favor as well as a gold lead, but no towers have been taken just yet. And that's where a snowball in these kinds of games really starts, because that is where your tempo advantage can really come into play.
And we're already seeing that the tempo advantage doesn't matter to BLG a huge amount. They're gifting that over to JDG. They're allowing ADD to scale in the top side, and I'm delighted to see ADD back in this team. ADD used to play for MVP over in LCK, for anyone who isn't aware, was actually part of the roster that 1 got them promoted and 2 got them demoted out of the LCK in the promotion tournament. Came over to BLG and started to look fantastic. Had a really good upswing in his play towards the end of summer 2019, which solidified BLG's run at the last few steps of 2019. Now, though, he needs to put on another performance because JDG are again putting pressure on the map.
Yeah, we've got to see him step up on this gangplank. Shinmo wants to fight.
Oh, no,
Loken
Meteor
pulls Meteor in with the lantern, but that's a big bullet time. Depth charge follows Loken out of the fight, but that's 1 kill. Going on to LeBlanc, Kanavi forces the fight to continue. Walks away with his life for now, but ADD, you've just been talking about him. He wants to make an influence, finds one, gives a parlay over to Kanavi, and gets a double.
Welcome back, ADD, a double kill for BLG. They can now turn towards this tower as well. Just in time, the turret plates have fallen, so this turret will not last long.
And that is what we want to see out of ADD. He just finished his Triforce and immediately gets to try out his new toy.
705 didn't have the teleport to follow either, so risky call from JDG to try and make things happen on the bottom side. And even when it looked like it was going dire with Meteor way too far on the twisted advance, Jinjiao has the bullet time to follow up on the engage.
Yeah, Loken just removed from the fight entirely right at the start. Yagao gets a pick, and the rest was just BLG covering their bases and clearing up.
Numbers advantage in favor of BLG. 705 will at least get some damage onto the top tower, but first turret goes over to the side of BLG. And now our stats are in disarray, Munch. We said at the beginning that first tower is 100% win for JDG. Win at 15 minutes if they're ahead as well. JDG are ahead by 1,000 gold, but have lost first tower.
Well, that means they've got 180% win chance because they did get that first blood.
Oh, that's how stats work.
180% in favor out of 300. I think that is. I'll text my maths guy. Just double check those numbers. We'll get the numbers run in the back end, but I'm 90% sure on that one.
Out of what? I'm confused on how these stats work anymore.
Well, 60% of stats are actually made up on the spot. So.
God damn it, Munch.
With that said, it's important to mention that the gold gap has been reduced here by BLG. That was a massive fight for them. A lot of gold into the pocket of ADD, and you mentioned Gangplank builds earlier on. That's a BF sword, my friend. He wants an Essence Reaver. He's gonna rip face.
Crit Plank is on the way. ADD likes to be in the side lanes. You can see there with the teleport coming in as a finisher to these fights. But as the game progresses, I'd be surprised to see ADD still looking for these flank teleport plays. Gangplank isn't always someone who can do well in those scenarios because it's easier for JDG to just turn and kill the Gangplank, then deal with the rest of BLG. He wants to either be coming in behind the likes of Meteor and Shinmo so he can set up the barrel plays, or just be left on his own in the bottom side of the map.
So this fight that's coming up could be the decider for JDG here. Ocean Drake coming up right as we speak. They have 2 Drakes on the board already. And this will be the decider on, are they really ahead? Do they still have control?
705 is in the top lane, still has the teleport available. ADD does not, which is why we're seeing this Gangplank come across. So JDG are just looking to posture around this dragon, give the Mordekaiser time to deal with this top lane turret, while BLG are scrambling to get vision in the river.
705 just waiting with his trigger finger on D to teleport on into the fray. Yagao waiting off to the wings. He's been spotted though. Dodges away from the barrels. Kanavi ready to get that EQ in. Here's the teleport. Kanavi jumps into the pit. Commitment to the play from the side of JDG. Sleepy Trouble Bubble won't do much to 705. Dragon's still at half health and Kanavi has to jump on out. Meteor able to pull it back. Here's one of the beautiful things about that Maokai. He's invincible.
Kanavi was taking so much damage in the pit. Fofo was able to take him low. BLG will get this dragon for free.
We figured it out. This is the strength of the pick. You could just tank dragon indefinitely, and while all the spells are flying back and forth, the sap magic constantly off cooldown.
Health for me and health for me. I'm going to keep grabbing all that if I'm Meteor. And as you said, being able to tank that dragon for long enough gives Fofo the opportunity to send Kanavi packing. And unfortunately, what was looking like JDG being able to play the chess match properly, they're forced to call it early and find themselves with a tail between their leg.
Dagza, I need you to check your stats book. Where are they? What are the stats on if JDG are 2 dragons up to 1 at 18 minutes 35 seconds with a 400 gold
The stats
lead?
are out the window now, Munch. We can't rely on them anymore.
Oh,
this
no.
is a game in and of itself.
What?
This is an anomaly.
You mean that the result in front of us doesn't depend on previous results?
Exactly. It's completely different. We don't know how these teams are going to play from day to day anymore.
My goodness. We're in unprecedented territory, ladies and gentlemen. And right now, JDG still, it has to be said, with the advantage, but BLG looking a lot better than what we've seen in the last few games from them. It's felt like they've been a little bit discombobulated. They've fallen apart pretty regularly. This time around, it feels a bit more confident.
Well, confidence is what's going to be giving them the opportunity to go towards this Rift Herald, and that confidence stems from seeing the back timings coming through from BLG, punishing just that tempo where it takes the 30 seconds to get back out on the map. It's enough to take this and potentially go towards this mid-turn. Fofo is the only person here, although Meteor and Jinzhao are moving across from topside jungle.
Fofo trying to get a bubble, but he's not going to find it as the Herald charges into the mid lane. I don't think JDG can quite follow up for the tower completely, but at least a good chunk of damage there. ADD off towards the bottom side here.
Loken has to be incredibly careful as to how he moves in towards these towers. You've got a flash, twisted advance that can come through from Meteor, the cannon barrage that if he takes a step out of place can set up for the rest of the team, sleepy trouble bubbles, depth charges. Loken has to play back and can't approach turrets in these scenarios to try and take them down. It's onto the likes of Yagao to pop in with a distortion, take a few shots at the turret and then get back out. And as a result, JDG pretty much waste that Rift Herald.
Now, one thing I will say about this Maokai jungle pick is it does allow your top laner to play a bit more of a carry without removing a front line from your team. And so Meteor, as you can see, he's already got his Cinder Hulk for himself, and he's going to have a Spirit Visage there, or you'd expect it'll be a Spirit Visage as the next item. Does have his Spectre's Cowl in his inventory. You're going to see this tree get tankier and tankier throughout the game, and if there's one thing that always scales well, it's tanks.
The good news is that they do have Varus on their team. If this was a misfortune, or if this was anything of that type of play, I'd be a little bit more worried. Varus is great in these tank shredding scenarios because of the passive, because of the Blade of the Rune King. So overall, it means that Meteor will still be killable on the side of JDG, and I love the purchase by Loken here as well. Blade of the Rune King, fantastic. Rapid fire cannon though means he's able to approach these fights without fear of getting jumped on by BLG.
And it's not the standard build either. You typically see them go for a Hurricane, for a Rage Blade as the second item. But this way, he can be so much safer in these fights. He can play further back.
And this is why Loken is such a big carry for JDG. Deals 29% of this team's damage because he's able to think on the fly and realize, hey, look, this is the best way for me to get into these fights to dish out the damage that I'd like. And now he's been given that opportunity again with the item purchases that he's gone for.
Well, it's been a relatively slow one so far. 3-2 on the scoreboard. But the Ocean Drake going to be spawning once again in 50 seconds time. BLG, the ones to get their hands on the last one. Question will be, can the Maokai sustain from Meteor net them another Drake?
I'm looking towards 705 here as well on your screen, because we haven't seen a huge amount from him, but in this side lane split push, still has some semblance of control. Will slowly start to teeter off into the favor of ADD, as we already discussed. But it's curious to see 705 go up against ADD. ADD is the long-term veteran that we talked about from the LCK. 705 is coming up from Invictus Youth. In the LDL 2019, they were the victors. They beat everyone and took home the championship in the LDL. 705 was a winning top laner, and he came onto JDG with a lot of talk around him. Has somewhat lived up to it, but when you're behind Zoom, it's hard to not.
Well, that's going to be Meteor not living up to his reputation right there. He goes down to start this fight off. In the meantime, JDG looking for this Dragon. Kanavi should be able to smite it. ADD did grab himself a tower, but the Dragon goes the way of JDG. That's soul point now.
JDG keeping the snowball going, keeping control of these objectives. 705!
Oh, the flash forwards from Fofo. Does get a good chunk of damage down onto 705. Now posturing towards this mid lane.
You can see the problem with Meteor's Maokai right now, though. Because you're behind in levels compared to the rest of the game, because you haven't picked up the items that Maokai can usually get in a solo lane, this Maokai isn't actually particularly tanky. So when he gets caught out here, check how quickly he goes down. Looking more like a Nautilus than the big beefy Maokai that we usually expect.
And then obviously not much of a follow-up fight on the back of that pick. Meteor needed to get a good twisted advance to dodge away from that CC. That's one of the most important mechanics on Maokai, but we've been criticizing this Maokai pick, and when you take a look at the scoreboard, you can see why. 0-3 so far. It's not looking great for Meteor.
Well, this is why I go back and say, hey, look, if you want to go for this tank jungler, why not go for the likes of Sejuani? Why not go for Zac, who are built around being these tanks with limited resources that can still have high impact?
Because they first picked Maokai, that's why, and it didn't really work out, which is interesting, because we've seen teams first pick Maokai
We've
before.
seen BLG do it as well.
And you know what?
At least pick Maokai, I don't know anymore.
It's not really worked out for them either. Turns out, Maokai might not be the priority pick that these teams are suggesting.
You might be onto something there, Munch, and I have to hard agree with you after the 2 series we've had today.
We've got a route onto Shinmo here. I don't think it'll turn into much as ADD's caught out in the bottom side of the map. It's not even going to be a 1v1. Death Realm not even used there. That means ADD does get away with his life. But look at the inventories on the side of JDG right now. So much vision, so many control wards. They want to take objectives.
Want to take this mid lane turret. Yagao going aggressive onto Shinmo, poking people out. ADD is back in base. They want to try and go for a dive, but careful of the cannon barrage.
The barrage can force the issue. Fofo gets a cleanse off, but look at this Meteor pulled in. No, it's Shinmo, in fact. And he will be going down Death Realm just to make sure the kill's finished. Kanavi flashes away with his own life. The 705 is just massive in these fights. Bullet time barely scratching his itch. And Yagao will be able to distort himself away. ADD arriving just a little bit too late. Nothing more can come of it.
Disjointed plays from BLG. Shinmo goes in. Oh, this isn't over, actually.
That's a good trouble bubble onto the likes of Loken. Nice Zonya's coming out from Lumao. But the disengage in the end, and this is the strength of that Zoe. You really can extend those fights. You can find picks after you think it's done.
The problem was, though, Fofo baited in Shinmo. Didn't communicate, hey, look, I'm going to use the cleanse. Shinmo tosses out the anchor because he thinks Fofo's caught, and it means that he's the one to pay for Fofo's sins. Don't get the objective off it, though, to JDG, so we're still going to be back and forth around this mid lane.
Loken gets it. What a player. ADD now in trouble. As you mentioned, he's going to outscale, but we've not reached that point yet. ADD sprints away. He's got his Nikes on. And he might be able to escape. Yagao looking for it. Death's Grasp off cooldown, pulls him in, and Yagao finishes the kill. Very nicely done by the solo laners.
The rookie takes down the veteran. ADD falls, and now Yagao is off in this side lane. The rest of JDG are holding down the fort in mid, but Yagao can pressure this bottom lane turret.
705 is looking good on this Mordekaiser. The Essence Reaver is finished for ADD now, but I don't think it was before that recall.
This is one of 705's champions, though. We said Aatrox, Mordekaiser, Renekton is where he finds comfort. We've seen the amazing plays he can make on Renekton, and now we're seeing him style on this Mordekaiser as well. JDG setting up for the mid lane turret.
And they're going to be able to comfortably take that one down. Barely any contest from the side of BLG, who are starting to fall further and further behind. 2,000 gold lead now. 30 seconds until this Ocean Drake. JDG looking to be in control.
TP used to get Yagao back towards the mid lane. They know with Baron up how crucial these mid lane structures are to maintaining vision, maintaining a bastion to fall back to when things get rough. Yagao pushing forward. Nerdy gets hit by Fofo.
Yagao actually wasted his Banshees there just to get a Q off onto someone. I'm not sure that's worth with Dragon coming up, especially when you're going to take chunks like that from the side of Fofo. This could well be a BLG Dragon, but pings over towards the Baron for JDG.
JDG do this incredibly quickly with the Varus and with the Mordekaiser, but they baited BLG in.
That's going to be the Dragon for Jin Zhao. 2 oceans for them. No soul point, though. They're still going to be one away. They deny it from JDG, and with that objective taken, I think that's going to defuse the situation.
JDG were caught out on what the call was. Fight at the Dragon, push in towards mid, or back away towards Baron. Split call, no decision made, and BLG find their way out of the woods.
And this is what we will come. Oh, 705's in trouble. That's going to be a sleepy trouble bubble. Kanavi jumps in front to keep his top laner alive. Very nicely played. But this is what we were complimenting BLG on before the break. Back on 10.1, we were saying how BLG, they were cool, calm, collected. It was about the macro plays. That was where they really strived. And that is a perfect example of macro decision-making paying dividends.
The biggest problem we've had with them is their draft. It's not been the game plan that they come into effect with. It's that they haven't got a chance to enact that game plan. This time around, though, BLG are slowly scaling in. That punch hard, punch fast from JDG has been thwarted. It's been blocked by BLG in these early stages of the game. Now we're pushing the 30-minute mark. Triforce and Essence Reaver for this Gangplank. You're looking at the Essence Reaver and the Infinity Edge for Misfortune in the bottom lane. This is where BLG are starting to turn things in their favor. As this game goes, Loken will win out when it comes to the AD carry matchup the later we scale. BLG's top laner ADD on the side, though, may not have someone that can deal with them when these further items come through.
Now, as the Dragon's going to be 3 minutes away, it feels like both of these teams are going to be playing this one relatively safe. Meteor going to be stacking up in his jungle. Oh, was that a flash coming out from Lu Mao? He's nearly dead. Takes a big old hit from Fofo.
Didn't realize Fofo was in the bush. Gets caught with the Sleepy Trouble and forced to flash.
Kind of a weird flash though, right? It didn't really achieve anything. He didn't get over any walls. Fofo still hits him with the Paddle Star. I don't know about the flash on that one, but gets away with his life, so not the end of the world. Ouch.
I was going to say, this is now Fofo finding the hits that can start to turn these fights. Yigao doesn't have the same targets because it's so much more difficult to try and navigate in towards the likes of Jin Zhao and Fofo, whereas Fofo can just send these long range without worrying about the likes of Kanavi locking them down in the same way Meteor would.
Could have a fight in our hands as 705 has found himself onto a flank. Kanavi goes in with the Cataclysm, roots onto everyone. From Meteor, Shinmo pulled in, 705 in a 1v1 with Jin Zhao, but he's out of the Death Realm, and he's all alone in the world, getting chased down by the whole squad of BLG. He's tanky, but not tanky enough. Shinmo looks for another hook, but he's survived for now. Loken trying to finish the kill as he flashes over the wall. Everyone from BLG still alive.
705 has to contend with so many cleanses and QSSs and everything else on the side of BLG that the second he turns onto Misfortune, it's cleansed away. Lu Mao hits the hook onto Fofo, it's cleansed away. BLG had all their answers up for what JDG want to do, so 705 is the only one to fall, and BLG will still be in a decent spot.
Well, you mentioned about recalling 90 seconds before a dragon will spawn. Well, we've only got 70 until this next Ocean. This would put BLG on Soul Point if they were to get it. They'll be the ones with tempo to move towards that objective.
BLG would love to get this Ocean Drake because of their tanky front line. You can see it in this fight that if the front line survives long enough, or Fofo's free hitting on the backside, Jin Zhao has got good peel coming in from them here as well. So the whole fight looks more coordinated. The problem was, though, cleanse, stopwatch as well for Shinmo. Delay the fight as long as possible. Don't allow Loken in aggressively. Yigao to burst anyone out. And JDG can't find the win. Now with those crucial summoner spells down for the next fight, JDG could have the opportunity to get the scrap they want.
And bring your eyes over to the scoreboard, ladies and gentlemen, because you can see two stopwatches in their inventories for BLG. You've got Jin Zhao and Fofo both able to go golden in the fight should they need to. It's possible to bait. Here we go, on to Meteor. Not the ideal target, but he's relatively squishy still. Walks away, Chains of Corruption used. A lot of big abilities expended by BLG.
Miguel fishing on the side here. Dragon will be started by JDG.
This would be Ocean Soul. That will be massive, and they get it. JDG with a huge advantage there. The 705 finds Meteor in the Death Realm. He wants to play. He wants to get this kill for himself. He won't be able to find it, though.
Misfortune.
Suddenly, he's alone. Jin Zhao's been abandoned by the squad, and he will be traded. We take those here in the LPL, and Shinmo trying to escape. JDG, they got first blood, and I guess that means they have to win.
There's still 4 members up on JDG as well. They can turn over towards this Baron. Smite is up. Fofo's the only one remaining, and there's no way that Zoe can kill all 4 of these.
It's been a long, drawn-out game. BLG held on to a semblance of control for most of it. But JDG, the superior team fighting team in the end, and it has to be said, this Maokai from Meteor just doesn't seem to be achieving anything.
How often have we said this about a BLG draft? Left lacking the good, the bad, and the ugly. You can mark one more over on the worst side of those columns, because BLG have not found success with ADD coming back into the roster. We're going to look at this team fight though, because this gets so separated the second Mordekaiser comes out of this death realm. Jin Zhao doesn't know what way to move, because when 705 comes out, he can die to the Mordekaiser. Ends up running into the rest of JDG, and they're able to bottle everyone from BLG into the corridors they want and pick up the team fight victory.
Beautifully done by JDG to separate the lineup from BLG, and you see Jin Zhao in the back of that dragon pit. He's got his stopwatch, but really, what's it going to do for you?
This is the thing. Meteor needs to provide a front line, like right now.
Oh no, Jin Zhao's been caught out. That's going to be one chain onto him. The second chain missed, though, from Yagao. And that is enough for Jin Zhao to walk away.
I think it's more limping after that one. This Misfortune will be returning to base fairly quickly. Doesn't have the ability to heal up. And if she wants to stay out on the map, JDG could use the Misfortune as their dive potential. But red buff is on the Misfortune, so she just heals it right back.
And you know what? We've got this Maokai pick from Meteor, and now that he's starting to get some items, he will get to be a beefy front line. But when you compare him to Kanavi on the other side, that has an Ocean Soul, he's not even going to be close to how tanky this Java will become, especially with that stone plate in his inventory. This pick just not really working out, and now you can see sheer pressure on every front.
Add the Mordekaiser into that mix as well. Mordekaiser, who loves to be in these fights so long that he can get shields and dive towers.
He can comfortably walk under this tower with the Ocean Soul. It's barely tickling him, and just walks away at the end as well. Nicely done from him. Fofo trying to get onto Kanavi, but he misses the Trouble Bubble. And now pressure in this bottom lane from the likes of Yagao. He's going to burst down Jin Zhao. You got to respect the LeBlanc damage.
ADD goes pop, Jin Zhao goes pop, towers go down, and JDG have cracked open the base galore of BLG.
Easy peasy lemon squeezy. This is JDG tearing the base apart now. They get an inhib bot and top. They might just be able to close this one out with 35 seconds on Jin Zhao, 20 on ADD, and a hook down onto Shinmo. This is going to be all she wrote, as JDG looking to snowball in this game and maybe in the series as well. 1-0 to JDG as they just finish off every last member of BLG. Fofo, the last man standing, he can't do anything, and he's flayed in and finished off. Yagao pads his stats, and JDG 1-0.